Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the JSN Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about Valorant, the new hit game that's all over Twitch streams and impossible to get your hands on unless you put an overnight stream. And because none of us have keys, we have a special guest on today. One of my good friends, Andris, who actually has a Valorant key. Why don't you introduce yourself, my guy?
Hello, I am Andris, and I have been playing Valorant non-stop for the past 3 days.
And of course, we're joined by the Essential J, Nico. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
You're the worst.
I know.
But anyways, yeah, like I said, today we're talking about Valorant. And so obviously, since none of us have an idea, Andres, do you mind giving us a quick rundown or first impressions of the game?
Alright, so first impressions, as people have said it's a lot like CSGO. I definitely agree with a lot of that sentiment. And I've played CSGO in the past, so transitioning to it wasn't too hard. And I played other ability shooters such as Overwatch, so it wasn't too bad. First impressions, I think it's very, there's a few bugs and glitches and stuff, but it's beta, so that's expected.
Of course.
All the characters seem relatively balanced. The 3 maps they have seem to all play pretty well. So overall, loving it a lot.
So you say it's pretty similar to CSGO, right?
Yeah, I'd say, I don't know if any of you have played CS 1.6, but a lot of people compare it to that.
Yeah, I've heard this comparison before too.
Yeah, CS 1.6 I've heard it's more similar to, but also CSGO, more so than any other game.
Okay, that makes sense. I know, Nico, you've played a decent amount of CSGO, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so so what do you think in terms of another CSGO potential game coming? Are you interested in something like that? What do you think?
Well, CS:GO's been dead for 5 years, so I guess it's all right.
Yeah, are you
I have a question for you, Andres.
Yeah, what's up?
How progressive are the romance options in this game?
Very progressive.
Oh, very nice.
Okay, can I romance a dog?
If you want, go ahead.
No, in the game.
No. Sure.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Oh.
God, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Nico is our local furry, actually. Yeah.
Don't compare me to
Thanks
them.
for revealing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very important information had to be known.
Exactly.
If you want to do that, you can go for it.
Listen, we believe in freedom of expression here on the
Yes.
JSN podcast.
I want you to die.
But yeah. Jay, do you have any experience with CS:GO?
Not much, if I'm being honest. Actually, I would just say none at all, for all practical purposes.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm honestly somewhere in the middle of you and Nico. I've played CS:GO before. But extremely casually. I know that the good map is Dust 2, I think, and and
No.
I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. That's how casual I am. I don't have anything.
No.
I don't.
That's awful. No,
Oh, okay.
Mirage is the best
That was
one.
actually what's the word? Well, that was sacrilegious.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm a very, very big CS:GO noob. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I like using the auto snipers, which is apparently
Oh my god.
forsaken
Oh my god.
among the
Oh my
community.
god.
It's a sin to buy them in comp games.
Yeah, so it's so I'm pretty much just I have played the game for 30 hours, but not one of those hours has been how I was supposed to play it. So that's
Great.
but if I am to get Valorant, then I probably would actually try and play it in the genuine competitive way. And so Anders, you and I were talking earlier a few days ago about how the development team is doing a lot to appeal to the competitive community. So do you have any thing to speak on that?
Yeah, so first of all, I think the player models are all very easy to see against the backdrop. I know people have been talking about how they either love the art style or don't like it, but I think it's very good for competitive play. I think all the characters are easy to spot and they all have big red outlines on them. So that aspect is nice. And then I think they've been doing a lot with anti-cheat right off the bat, because CS:GO has a big problem with aimbot hackers or wall hackers or whatever. So they've done a lot with anti-cheat. So they've made like a really good anti-wall hack thing where like the players don't load in until they actually like are visible on the screen. Like they don't load in if they're behind a wall, basically, and they like instantly load when they're on screen. So you can't like see where they all are if they're behind a wall, which I like.
Interesting.
And then they have I think I read there's like plans to do like their anti-aim hack thing is like gonna be like a AI learning thing that like learns about player aiming and
Okay.
can adjust to like see if it's like an aimbot or not.
That sounds sketchy, but interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know how much they've done with it yet because it is beta, but I mean there's a lot of talk about their anti-cheat systems being very good. So I'm
Okay.
looking forward to that.
Are they gonna say in the corner BattleEye has banned blank every single time somebody gets banned?
Maybe.
I definitely do
I
love
hope
that. But yeah, honestly, the anti-cheat systems sound pretty dope. Like, I mean, obviously, I haven't played CS:GO that competitively, and like, but you know, I know that CS:GO has a huge like hacking problem. A lot of people are
Yeah.
get really frustrated by it. But what's it called? So I'm actually very curious about like the hero aspect of it. And so from what I understand, isn't Riot the developer of League of Legends?
Yes. Yes, they are.
So I mean I hope Jay and Nico, you guys I hope you guys like watched like some like maybe some Valorant footage in preparation for today, but you guys might have noticed that a lot of the heroes have very similar abilities. And it's not like Overwatch where like every character is designed specifically to be unique. It seems that there's like a lot of crossover between what different heroes can do. Are they called heroes in Valorant, Andres?
Agents, I believe.
Agents. All right. Well, that's pretty lame. But like what the different agents can do. So like I'm curious, what do you guys think about like them? They're having like being like a lot more crossover and like not really too much uniqueness between the different agents in Valorant.
Well, personally, I think it's fine to go about it that way. I think it makes it more competitive. People don't have like vastly different things. Like for
Mhm.
example, like 3 or 4 different agents have like a smoke,
Yeah.
or like that's one of the big ones. But there's also like a lot of them have like
The
a molly
walls.
thing. Like yeah, there's multiple walls, and then people have like poison bombs or like mollies, like similar things like that. So
Mhm.
I personally think it's good, just to like make it more competitive. So it's not like one champion is like broken because it's the only one with a smoke.
Mhm. Wait, so Jay, I'm curious what you think as like a primarily way more so Overwatch player than you were a CS:GO player. Do you think you'd be interested in transitioning to like a a game in which characters are not very unique and have a lot of um cross ability integration?
I play Siege.
Oh, you do play Siege. Yes, that is
The
true.
heroes, the heroes. Sorry, not even heroes. Like
Operators.
operators in
Operators.
Siege. Generally, there are 4 of them do the exact same thing. So
God.
This is also true. Yeah, I mean honestly, like there's like Hibana, I think it is, who has like the
and Thermite.
and Thermite, who like one just like shoots the thing instead of having to be up against a wall to like have it. So like yeah, I mean that makes sense. So what's it called? So I guess then the question is, what do you find more interesting or more engaging for gameplay? Do you like having a similar hero ability based game, or do you think Overwatch is more fun because of its uniqueness between heroes?
I think Overwatch. I think if you made Siege have more unique operators, it would be more fun. I think Overwatch is less fun for different reasons. But
Oh.
like this has already been discussed in a different video.
Yeah.
Whatever. What I will say is I think it makes it much easier to balance because the more similarity you have between looking at Overwatch for example, the meta would shift drastically enough that some heroes would suddenly just become broken because of one of them getting nerfed, which hopefully will not happen as much if you have heroes with more similar abilities because they'll all be kind of similarly affected in terms of viability by a single change.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Because like yeah, I completely agree. Like because of the uniqueness in Overwatch, and like at the end of the day, variation is what causes imbalance, right? If every character in a video game is the same, then they're all balanced. You know, if they can all do
Yeah.
the same things, and they're all balanced. Variation is at the end of the day what causes imbalance because you need to make sure all of these different things happen to be at this exact same power level. So I do agree that it definitely makes it a lot easier to balance. But I guess my question is that like I think that this game, very clearly is geared a lot more towards the competitive community than it is like the I guess like people who want to play it for fun, right? Because and I think there are various aspects of it that manifest. in that. So like for example, the graphics. So Nico J, I don't know if you guys have seen gameplay footage of it, but do you guys have any thoughts about the art style?
I'll let Nico go first on this one. Actually, I kind of just spoke. So
What do you think, Nico?
It looks a little Overwatch ripoffy.
Really?
I don't. I, I just feel like video games nowadays. It really feels like there are only two art styles they can do, and that's like either we go the Siege COD
Hyper realistic, like
CS hyper realistic, or it's gotta be like these wacky kind of
cell shaded, cartoony, yeah.
cell shade kind of cartoony art style, but still like technological. I don't know. Be more creative. Be more creative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Video games. It's the eighth art style. It's the eighth art. Be artful with it.
Yeah.
Please.
So you just say like it's bland?
Yeah.
Yeah, understandable. Andris, what do you think? I want to ask you. Do you think that while I mean you're the one who's actually like been playing it, how how has like this according to Nico, relatively bland art style, like do you think it's affected like how the perception has been, or like do you think that it actually like makes the game less fun?
It's just overused.
I personally think that it makes the game better.
Interesting.
I think it makes the characters like easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think in like CS:GO there's some issues sometimes on some maps where like it's very hard to see the characters, and I think in a game like that, the goal is not to like have the characters like blend in. I think in battle royale games like Warzone, I think they're better when they're realistic because like part of the game is like camouflaging and like blending in, right? But in these like tactical shooters like Valorant and CS:GO, I prefer the like cartoony art style, like Overwatch. I think I like it more personally.
For sure. No, but I definitely do see where you're coming from, Nico. Where it's like, I kind of agree that like it honestly for me it's just like it's not detailed enough is really like what I see with it. Like I don't entirely mind like the whole like cell shaded idea or like having like very clear like outlines and very strong colors, right? Like I don't really mind all that, but it's just like textures look so flat. You know what I mean? It's like walls look like they just like are a one solid paint bucket and they just pressed out on the side of the wall and then like they were like, okay, cool, we're done. You know what I mean? And I think go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like that's like sort of like where my like sort of want or desire for better graphics came. But Jay, what I know you're a
okay. Now I'm gonna make my statement.
Oh, okay.
That I was gonna make before, but I stopped because I want you to finish your statement.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's about creativity.
Really?
I want these games. I want someone to come up with a new competitive shooter that's like interesting. That's like different. I mean, like the whole hero thing took over with Overwatch.
Yeah.
And it's just like Valorant. I know it's like people are trying to say like it's different because it's like CS:GO but with hero abilities. But it's like you're just mashing two genres together. Can we get something like new? Can we get something really new? Can we not mash together the two art
Lawbreakers?
styles? Get something new. That game was never going to become anything even remotely successful, and you know it, and you wanted it to so bad.
I did want
Lawbreakers. It was so good,
dude.
though.
Lawbreakers was so fun. Andres, did you ever play Lawbreakers?
I've never even heard of that game.
Dude, Lawbreakers was it was so fire, bro.
What was the genre?
It was like a hero-based shooter like Overwatch, like hero MOBA. But like first-person MOBA, but like the idea of it was like hyper mobility. Like every single character had like a stupid amount of mobility and could just like move around whenever they wanted, anywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
And it was like so fun, but like it came out like right as Overwatch did, so like Overwatch just like took all its whole player base.
Yeah, I mean, considering I've never heard of it, clearly.
Exactly, like it was honestly just like like poor timing in terms of launch.
Really.
Yeah, like it was a fun game and like it got decent traction, but like like when Overwatch came out, like it just took the world by storm. So like Lawbreakers was just like left at the wayside.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, mobility is fun though. That's why I prefer like Apex to like Warzone because I like being able to like the movement in that is really really fun for me.
For sure. And so, is there any like, how's the movement in Valorant? How does it feel? Is it because like in my opinion, I've always felt that the movement in CS:GO felt a little clunky. Is it pretty much the same, or are there any like mobility changes that they make that feel nicer?
So it's generally pretty similar to CS:GO
Okay.
in that you need to like you're relatively slow and you need to walk to not make noise,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're going pretty slow most of the time, and then you need to like stay still to like have accurate shots.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it feel a bit slow.
Mhm.
There's one like Jet has like multiple mobility options. She's like a thing that goes up and then a thing that goes like to the side. So she's very mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Generally the movement's kind of slow though. But they also, I heard like they made it like easier to b-hop, which I think makes it faster
Mm-hmm.
in some capacity. But I think it's generally still pretty slow like CS:GO.
The real question is, will you be able to surf?
Good question. I hope someone comes up with like a custom map or something for that.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. So I guess the question then is are there any like, so what would, so for, this is more of a question for Jay or Nico. What would this game have to have in terms of it to be like an interesting potential buy for you guys?
It's free, by the way.
Fun.
Fun.
Hypothetically, if they charged money for it, what would I have to have?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Difficult question to answer, if I'm being entirely honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very bad at CS:GO. This is why I don't play it more, if I'm being honest.
But you have good aim.
Not by comparison, and also like I'm bad at managing recoil in it, but that's mostly just 'cause I haven't played enough, I guess.
Understandable.
Anyway, yeah. As a genre, I like its concept. I probably wouldn't buy it because I just don't anticipate myself being especially good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and like that gets frustrating over time, especially in an intentionally competitive game.
Yeah, I can totally get that. But you know, one interesting thing that I want to bring up is that Valorant actually has a point. No, not like a point. Like an ability buy mechanic. Correct, Andris?
Yes.
Right. So like heroes don't just have like their abilities and then like their ultimates. They also have like purchasable abilities, which like goes sort of into your ult economy, or sorry, your economy, right?
So every character has a free ability.
Okay.
They get one of each round. So, like for example, the character I've been playing, Raze, has like the like bombs or whatever. Is her E is the free ability. So every round I get one of them, right? So I can purchase the second one, and then there's two other abilities that are purchasable.
Okay.
And then the ult charges up after you get kills or you die. But yes, the abilities are like most of the abilities are purchasable and go into the economy, but they're not very expensive. Like most abilities are like $100, $200 to $300.
Okay.
So if you're on a winning streak, like you can afford them easily.
Mhm.
But if you're getting like slaughtered every round, then you're not gonna have the ability, like the money for them necessarily. So
Okay, so it also
add up.
so it still has that same like shtick of like CS:GO of like being very momentum based.
Yeah. But you can easily just save one round and you're fine. Like CS:GO, in a lot of cases, if you save just one round, you might not even have enough.
Mm-hmm.
But this game I feel like is more like forgiving with the money.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think the economy is like easier for if you're losing,
Okay.
which
And
I think is a good thing.
yeah, no, I could totally get that. And so, what do you think about like the like sort of going on this idea of like forgiveness towards like people, like, you know, like if you're losing or like getting dominated, how's like the sort of like the comeback mechanic in Valorant looking like? Because I know in Overwatch, for example, you will never survive 1v6, you'll never survive 2v6, right? Like in Overwatch, it's very much like one of your teammates goes down and then the team crumbles, right?
You mean like come back in like a fight or like a
Yeah,
round or
like
whatever, not,
like in
always?
one round, yeah.
Right. So I actually, one of the things I love about this game is like you can easily, like you can not easily, but there's definitely times where you can clutch 1v5.
Really?
Oh yeah, easily. Like it happens in CS:GO, it happens in this game. Just
Mhm.
because it's a different game. Like you're not really team fighting.
Yeah.
It's more a lot of one-on-one play, one-on-two play. You don't try and like 1v5 really. You just try and if you play it smart, you can make it 5-1v1s, and then if you're good enough, you can win.
Interesting. Okay.
But Overwatch, like you said, if you lose one guy, like you say you lose your Reinhardt at the start of the fight, you're running back, you're backing up, and you waste like 30 seconds, right?
Mhm.
Which I don't like. I like to just be like being able to fight whenever I want, right?
Mhm.
So this game, similar to CS:GO, like there's definitely times where you can 1v5 clutch. So
Okay, that's
there's
fair.
a lot of room for
Mhm.
coming back and around. Like if you have one god player, you
Mhm.
can easily carry a game. I feel like.
Mhm.
Unlike in Overwatch, if you have a God McCree, it doesn't matter if the rest of your team's like bronze, like a lot of the time, because
Mhm.
they'll just die and it doesn't even matter,
Yeah.
right? But this game,
I don't think either extremes is real. I don't think either extreme is really the ideal. To like,
I wouldn't say it's an extreme. Like I wouldn't say it's like easy to 1v5. I just think this game has a lot more potential for it.
But what were you saying, Nico? Continue that idea.
No, I don't think. I mean, like, I don't think either extreme is really great. Like, yeah, I know it's frustrating in Overwatch. Like, if one player goes down, the team kind of crumples. But also, I think it's kind of sucky if you just have one good player, then you can just easily just sweep. I mean,
Mhm.
these are supposed to be team-based games, so
Interesting. Like, I mean, in your experience playing CS:GO, did you see that happen a lot? Where people 1v5'd?
yeah, I don't see it typically in one because I mean that's a very the odds of winning a 1v5 I feel should be very very difficult, which
Mhm.
is what makes it so rewarding when it
Mhm.
happens. And in CS:GO, like it's very not often that you see someone win a 1v5, but when you do, it's like exhilarating.
Mhm.
And that's
I
what
mean, I
makes
just
it
say
great.
experience. I wouldn't say it's easy to win 1v5 or 1v4. I just think it's possible in this game, unlike Overwatch,
Mhm.
which I think is nice. Like that opportunity to clutch.
Mhm. I don't know. I kind of do get where you're coming from though, Nico. Where it's like the fact that it's even possible feels a little dumb. You know what I mean? It's like the game is so skill based that like one person outskilling one person can just like end up rolling 5 times. You know?
Yeah.
I think from a rank perspective though, that's good. I mean, I feel like there's not really like elo hell. Like if you can just 1v5 every time, then you
Mhm.
can just climb up the ranks to your desired rank. And then they're planning to have rank on like release. So if you're like a really good player, you're not gonna be against like noobs all the time, right? You're
Mhm.
gonna eventually get up to a skill bracket where you're not gonna be able to 1v5 because everyone else is equally good.
Mhm.
Remember when there was no ranked play in Overwatch
Yeah, it was at the
and
beginning
people
when it was just
still bought it? That's
yeah.
so weird. So strange just having that one button. It's like
Mhm.
quick play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I'm personally like pretty interested in picking up Valorant, but like, how so, Andres, how do you think like how good is Valorant at like, or how well does it cater to like new players or like people who aren't very experienced with like the tactical shooter genre?
I mean, they have a tutorial at the start of the game, like they force you into it at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not familiar with like shooters like that, you can kind of like get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, like there isn't too much like catering to new audience members, I think. But for most of the people who have the game now, that's not really an issue because the people who want to get the game like already have experience most of the part or like
Mm-hmm.
know about shooters.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have friends who just started like playing, like they didn't play CS:GO and they're doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's like terribly hard to pick up. I think once you get down that like you don't move while you're shooting, then
Mm-hmm.
you'll figure it out.
That's good at least. I guess we can talk about the characters now. How many characters are there currently, and like, do you like what are like the general like abilities that like most of them have? So I know you said a lot of them share smokes and like walls. Is there anything else like that's like a common trend?
Right. So I think there's 9 agents, I
Mhm.
believe, right now with plans to add more.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
and then I think so like I said before, I think three or four characters have a smoke. And then like I said, walls. I think there's 2 characters with walls.
Mhm.
And then another one is like they're not the same thing, but they're like um many characters have like one character's a Molotov and one has like a throwable like poison thing, which basically essentially do the same thing.
Okay.
Like throwable thing, like Molotovs basically, throwable things that damage opponents.
Mhm.
And then Sage has one that like slows opponents, but it's like the same like throwable thing. So a lot of them are similar to like nades from CS:GO. Um, One thing I think about the abilities is like they're not that OP compared to like Overwatch things, which I think is a good thing.
And so there's no cooldown based system in Valorant?
No, so you buy your abilities and then you can use them however often you want. I mean your alt charges. Are you familiar with how the alt charging works? 'Cause that's kind of
It's based on kills, isn't it?
Yeah, so every character has like 6 or 7 like alt like they need to get 6 or 7 like points to get their alt, and these points you get through kills or deaths. You get one also, and I think after like a round ends, you also get one.
Okay.
And then there's also these like orbs around the map, placed in like strategic locations, where if you like click on them for a certain amount of time, you get an alt point.
Okay.
Right? So that's kind of a cooldown essentially. But the other ones are just limited to your money. Like if you buy them, then you can use them.
Okay.
But if you don't buy them, then you can't use them basically.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like in Overwatch, like part of the way that they balance powerful abilities is by cooldowns. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
abilities that aren't extremely powerful. I mean, this is a general statement. Generally, abilities that aren't extremely powerful are have lower cooldowns. Abilities like Mr. Immortality Field and Res have crazy cooldowns because
Right.
they're very powerful abilities. So
Wait, you're funny, Res?
yeah.
What's that? Haven't heard of that.
Yeah, no.
Well, the way they balance the abilities is so you have a certain amount of ability slots, right?
And
so
does that
some
differ between characters?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, well, no, I mean, no, everyone has the same number of abilities, but I'm saying the amount they can use of that ability in a round is different,
Okay, I gotcha.
right? So, like I said, character I play, Raze, she's got like the Roomba bot thing, but you can only buy one of those per round.
Okay.
And it costs 300 coins, which is a lot more than other abilities. So they balance it through ability costs and how many you can use per round, basically. So some like Jet has a smoke, she can buy 3 of potentially per round, but some abilities you can only use 1 or 2 a round.
Okay, that makes sense. What's it called? So, I'm curious, Jay or Nico. So, what's it called? What do you guys think about a game like this, and especially like, do you think it's gonna survive in like especially like in this contemporary like post CS:GO, post Overwatch, like post sort of like team-based shooter environment that we're in? Like, I think in general, like team-based shooters are a little bit in the past. So I'm curious what you guys think about it. Like, do you guys think this game is gonna take off?
I like how we're defining these eras like art history.
I mean, obviously, like I'm like saying like because all these games have come before it, and because it's very derivative from a lot of them. Do you think that it brings something unique enough to where it'll make it? Like, do you think it'll be successful?
To be completely honest, I think for a lot of these games, it's about how much money they can give that marketing team.
Really?
Honest to God.
And do you think they've done a good job with that?
By Riot.
I mean, I've been hearing about this. I mean, like you said, Lawbreakers. I don't think Lawbreakers was backed by any big publisher.
Yeah.
But isn't Valorant backed by like Epic Games?
No, it's
Or
backed
Riot
by
Games. Riot Games.
Riot.
And Riot did League of Legends, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they did League of Legends, and TFT is also big, and they have
What's
multiple
TFT?
different games. TFT is like it's like auto chess but with League characters.
Team Fighters Tactics, right?
Team fight tactics.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that one, but I think the publisher Riot Games, I think they definitely have the money to kind of push this into the mainstream. So I don't know. I think it's a possibility.
For sure. What about you, Jay?
I largely agree.
Mhm.
Honestly, it seems to me like a lot of, again, it's successful or not depends on how much money the publishers have to throw at it being successful rather than like its actual quality. That being said, I don't mind Valorant being popular. So yeah.
So do you guys think you're gonna end up getting it?
If everyone else gets it.
You see, I would say the same thing. So we have a problem.
Yeah. So it really, I think I'm sort of in the same place. It's like I want to see how popular it really ends up getting, and like if people are engaging with this game. Because again, it's so focused on the competitive aspect, and like that's also sort of a function with it. Is that like I personally, I mean, like once this whole situation with the world is over, right? I
What
will
situation?
The situation.
the situation,
What situation?
the situation.
The guy from the Jersey Shore?
Yeah, him.
Oh.
Yeah. But once all this stuff is over with, um, I hopefully will go back to not having like 10 hours of free time every day. And so like I don't really know like and like Valorant seems the kind of game that like you have to like give it a decent amount of time in order to like stay up with it. It's like CS:GO where like if you get rusty then like it's very hard to get like back into it. You know what I mean? So I feel like I just don't know how much time I would be able to have to dedicate to a game like this. Um, but what's it called? So Andris, tell us more about your I mean you're obviously the one playing it. How's the community in the game? Like is it toxic? Like is it like some Rainbow Six Siege toxicity type stuff?
Well, it is beta, and I
Mhm.
feel like people just got the game, so people are less inclined to be toxic. I think, as of what I've seen, people aren't very toxic because
Mhm.
no one knows what they're doing. I think, no, I'm serious. I think in games like Overwatch, people become toxic because they think they're better than other players, and they
Mhm.
say they think they're good and they know how to play.
Mhm.
Same with every other game. But I think because this game is so new, no one is like, you should have done this. You're trash because no one knows what to do, right? And people can't roast each other for the aim because everyone's aim is kind of shit right now. So I feel like once the game progresses, we'll see more how toxic it is. But as of right now, everyone I've played with, I've had a pretty good experience with. So
Mhm. That's good at least. I mean, it seems like this game uh overall the community seems like pretty passionate about it and like a lot of people are very clear that like I mean I've heard a ton about this game just in like I have I've never been like a league player. I've never really got into CS:GO. Only like game even remotely similar to that I played is Overwatch, and it's
right,
only similar based off the fact that it has multiple selectable characters, right? Like that exactly.
exactly.
It's like saying Overwatch and Siege are similar because they have the same like as it's it but I've heard a ton about it and so I think I am interested in getting it, but I'm not sure even like how well it's really gonna do. Um,
hmm I think it's gonna do great. I think judging from how well like everyone's been watching on Twitch for the key, like
mhm.
so many people, like it's
Doesn't
got.
this like skew the ratings on Twitch? Doesn't this skew ratings on Twitch pretty
I
badly
think it's
though?
the point of it.
It
I
does,
mean, yeah,
yes.
sure.
I mean,
But doesn't
yeah,
that mean that they're
marketing.
not like a reliable indicator of game popularity?
I,
That
I
was where I was going with that, more
mhm.
than
Well, I
I
mean, if
feel like
people are
because
watching it,
people wanna,
then it is popular.
if
Just
people want to sit for hours in a stream all day, then I think that means the game is popular. Like
if
even
you
if
want to
they're
sit
not,
on stream for if you want to sit for hours on stream and just leave your computer running to get a key. This is different from actively watching what's going on stream.
I don't think.
I'm not sure of the mechanics of how like actually getting keys works, so
Mhm.
that deserves at
Yeah,
least
no,
I'm
more
certain
grain of
some
salt.
people do that. I don't think everyone does that though.
Fair.
I think a lot of people are genuinely watching. Like I
Mhm.
see the chats and they're like super active chats. Like the chat is always scrolling. Like there's definitely people watching.
Mhm.
For me, I actually watched a fair bit before I got my key. I had watched like probably like a few hours of gameplay just because I was interested in how it worked and I wanted to be good at it. So I watched a lot personally. But then I got it because I left my stream on overnight and then that's how I got it. So.
Wait,
Yeah.
does this not argue my point?
Yeah, I mean, I do see where you're coming from, Jay. Where it's like if it, if you cannot be very involved, actively involved with the stream and just get a key, then like both the amount of keys and amount of stream watchers isn't necessarily precisely indicative of like total engagement with Valorant. But I think it is still a general indicator because like your stream if you're watching the stream, that means you either are interested in the content or you want a key, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Like if the stream is on and there's a viewer on the stream, that means that that person is wanting one of those things, one of those two things, whether or not they're actually watching it. So I think it's at least a decent indicator of like engagement with it, even though it maybe not be completely accurate. Do you have like what's it called like do you remember like offhand like amount of like viewers this game was getting?
Well,
I
someone
can
told me
I can actually look that up
like
right now.
I don't
Um,
know. I think it was like 1 million or something over like something crazy.
Really?
Yeah, like across all the streaming platforms. Like
Yeah. So
I know
yeah.
I watched primarily Tim the Tapman
Mhm.
for my key, and he had like 120k, like consistently 100 to 100k, like around there, and that was just one of the streamers. And there was a lot of streamers giving keys out. So,
Yeah. No, it's currently right now has 888,000 viewers.
yeah, that's absurd.
And 1.3 million followers. And when was this game announced?
Well, it was announced as Project A like last year,
Okay.
or not last year, probably 6 months ago. I don't know exactly. But then it was announced as Valorant probably a few months ago. I don't remember.
Okay. And
But Riot put it out with their like, they had their 10-year anniversary for League, and they put out like what we're working on, and they said we're working on this game called Project A, and they showed some gameplay footage of Valorant. So
very cool. Okay.
they like teased it probably like 6 months ago.
Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, no, honestly, it's like it's caught on a surprisingly high amount just based on like even this being out for a few months. And like of course, like fundamentally giving out drops through the stream is sort of like, you know how like Overwatch League, they like you can get skins in game if you watch the streams, right? Like it does inflate numbers definitely by like, you know, requiring people to go to the stream in order to get those keys. But at the end of the day, I think Nico is sort of right when he was like, it's the marketing strategy, right? And that's what's going to separate this game from other
That's
games.
darn good marketing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good at marketing. Yeah, everyone knows about it. Like even my friends who they play games, but they've never like played CS, or they've never played like shooters at all, and they still have heard of it.
Yeah.
Like,
You know,
like I'm not necessarily like hearing about every like strategy game on the market because I don't play those games pretty much, right? But this is so big that people even outside the genre are hearing about it.
yeah, exactly. And like that's even like why I wanted to suggest it to the guys to talk about it, because like, you know, even though any of us may not be particularly interested in picking it up, it still seems to be this game that's like catching a lot of traction and like is definitely doing something right, you know. And I think that that's an interesting thing to discuss. I honestly, I'd be like, because games like Overwatch and CS were like crazy successful, like absurdly successful. Like there are very few shooters that like even like Apex, you know, hasn't gotten like, you know, it was very popular, but like, you know, it hasn't reached
Not
that
as big as Overwatch or CS.
exactly. Like the only game that's like really, you know, like shooter game that's like, you know, even been comparable to Overwatch or CS has been like freaking Fortnite, and that's because Fortnite like is literally like has this toxic loot box system and appeals to 4-year-olds, right? So like,
I think Warzone is quite popular.
is it that's like the Call of Duty battle royale, right?
Call of Duty Warzone. Yeah, that's
Okay. Interesting.
A lot of people are playing that.
But yeah,
I think
like
after Valorant came out, they took a lot of the players in that game, to be honest.
I mean, so what's it called? But yeah, no, I think that Valorant definitely is doing something right, but like I just don't know if it's gonna like really, because like I mean I feel like if CS:GO people, like if people who want a CS:GO experience, they're just gonna play CS:GO. You know what I mean? So like I guess the question is like, do you think Valorant is different enough and like more importantly adds on to the CS:GO experience enough to be worth playing in and of itself, or is it just like for people who are bored of CS:GO and want that same experience?
I would say that it's different enough. I'd say people who want to play CS can play CS, people who want to play Valorant. Like I think it's different. I think people compare the shooting mechanics to CS, but I think the abilities and the character system makes it a lot different. Like it's definitely its own game. So there's plenty of CS players who are gonna leave CS and come play this game. But I think there's also tons of CS players who are gonna stay just because they want that like pure shooter without all the abilities.
Yeah, that makes sense. But overall, so I guess I want to ask what's it called, Jay and Nico. So does this game sound like interesting to you? I mean, especially like even after this, like after we've been talking about it, are you guys any more interested in the game? Are you maybe getting like look into it further, consider getting it?
Maybe.
That's the best way to put it, I guess. Yeah. Maybe.
Interesting. So like
Maybe.
what parts of what we talked about, like I guess particularly appealed to you guys, or like made you piqued your interest if they did?
I've got to say that like for all the things I dislike about League, I do like that you basically have to build up to getting more powerful heroes rather than just starting with them at a certain power level and being locked to that, because it also limits like how flexible you can be based on how the game's going, some that sort of thing.
Okay, so you're interested in like the ability buy system and stuff like that, and like how
Yeah.
ultimates need to be built up. Yeah, I think that's definitely a very cool aspect about Valorant, that will prove to be actually probably one of its like best methods of balancing. Um, so was it so?
Actually, yeah. One thing that interests me is I like how the economy is more complicated.
Mhm. Like I mean, you've also played CS:GO, so like you are familiar with how CS:GO economies function and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I'm really not. So like, what's it called? Yeah, I mean, yes, you guys are aware that I suck at CS:GO now. That I said Dust
Yeah.
2 was the best map. Um,
Oh my
but
god. Can we talk about that? Can we
sure,
talk about that?
feel free to roast
Why
me.
Dust is not the best map.
Listen, okay, listen.
So here's the thing. Dust 2 would probably be the best map if that wasn't the map that 90% of games were played on. And not every person who picks up the game for the first time goes, "Oh, I know Dust 2. Let's play Dust 2."
That's exactly what I did. That's
It's
exactly what
also
I
the
did.
best. It's also the
Most
best map
people
for
who-
hackers.
Yeah, it's also like the one that all the hackers are on. Like for people who actually I haven't played the game in forever, but the ones that like people actually like, I know Cash is one of them.
Mhm.
Mirage.
Mirage.
I have like
Yeah.
600 hours on the game. I don't know how much you played, but I love Mirage.
I
You're a
probably have
loser.
somewhere around the same. No, yeah, Mirage. I'd say is Mirage my favorite? Yeah, I think Mirage is my favorite.
What's that one
Dust 2 is
map
overrated.
with like the little farm in the middle and the water beside it and then the grass?
What?
There's like a
What?
it's like on like a farm or like a little like abandoned house, that has like it has like
Lake?
water. I think
Lake?
it might be a lake. I don't know.
That's not like a competitive map though.
Well, I like that one.
Yeah.
That one's fun.
Okay.
Okay.
That's like an arms race map. That's not.
Ah,
Like a-
yes, it is Arms Race. I do play Arms Race
Yeah,
on that, man.
God.
It's so fun. I love that.
You're a terrible CS:GO player.
I love that map. I love that one. It's so fun.
But back to Valorant and like the whole economy thing. I just think it's interesting that like it's gonna have like a more complicated economy because both you're balancing on buying weapons as well as like abilities.
I'd argue
Yeah, no,
it's
that's
less
one of the things-
complicated than CS:GO personally.
Oh, it's less complicated.
I would argue that because I think a lot of the
okay, never mind.
abilities are similar. Like they're just synonymous a lot with nades from CS:GO.
Yeah.
I think they do a lot of similar things, and nades also cost like extra money. And I think
So,
like
so,
I
so
said
they don't
earlier-
have grenades in Valorant?
no, so it's just abilities. But a lot of them
Oh.
function as smoke grenades, flash grenades, like frag grenades. Like a lot of the characters have like
Interesting.
nades from CS:GO like put in their kits, right?
Okay.
They
But,
usually cost less than like grenades.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like I said earlier, like you can save less and be able to buy more. Basically, like you don't have to save as many rounds, and you can also sell weapons. So if you mess up, So if you mess up, it doesn't matter. So I'd argue it's in that aspect about being beginner friendly. I think being able to sell weapons is huge.
I like the selling weapons aspect. That adds an extra layer to the economy. No, that sounds interesting. That's not as like brutal, but like there's also that added element of selling back. I don't know. I kind of like that's one of the things I've always liked about CS:GO is how like a big aspect of it of like doing well in the game is being able to like manage your economy and have a good economy.
Mhm.
And that's something that I wish more games incorporated that they just really don't. The only one I'd say oof. This might be a bold statement, but Overwatch kind of scratched the surface of an economy with like
Alt
cooldown
economy?
times,
Yeah.
alt economy.
Mm-hmm.
But
I buy it. Sure, fine.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just always loved CS:GO's kind of or just CS in general, the whole CS franchise,
Mhm.
how it used an economy, and I'm surprised that more games never kind of put that to use because it's such a great extra element that you can add in because like one of the ways you can do well is kind of like hurting the other team's economy, stealing more expensive weapons from them, and it makes you really think about like what you're going to use. I think because like take a game like Siege or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're most of the time you're just gonna pick like weapons where it's like, oh, because you can't like.
You have no reason to not pick to not
Yeah,
pick like an R4 Sian Ash,
Yeah, you have
unless
no
at
reason
least
not to pick.
pre scope being removed.
Mhm.
That
Yeah, but like in CS:GO, it really you have to actually really know each one and really think about what one's best for the situation. What ones are you good with that's worth paying that money to get. Um, and I always just really loved it about it. And it's a mechanic that encourages you to become more knowledgeable. I think in like a game like Siege, for how great it is, I don't think there is an element like the economy in CS:GO that really forces you or encourages you to become knowledgeable besides just, oh, I want to like improve my stats. Like it's a game mechanic that directly correlates to making you want to like become more knowledgeable.
Yeah, I totally see that, and like obviously being a person who has no knowledge on that, like honestly, like the economy aspect of CS:GO is like one of the most intimidating parts to me, and honestly, it's good to hear that Valorant takes some steps in making that part more accessible for new players, because I think that's like one of the things that made getting into CS:GO hard for me is that like the moment I started getting rolled in a game, there's nothing I was doing to coming back, right? I don't have terrible aim. I don't have terrible positioning. I'm pretty decent at both of those things. But like keeping track of like this macro game, which like Nico's talking about, of like, not just is the one-on-one individual fights within rounds important, but this like this constant theme of economy that's transcending the round system, right? That you also need to keep in mind that's throughout the entire game. Like that's like where like the actual like skill comes in. I appreciate that Valorant is taking steps to like not necessarily diminish the total amount of skill that will needed, but like make like make it more accessible for new players to get the hang of it. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree. Like if I've played a lot of CS games, and if you have someone on your team who doesn't buy right, then it fucks up like your whole team. Like it's not just like a solo thing where you need to manage your own economy. You need to like save and buy as a team, right? Because if you have one person buy an AK one round and everyone else has pistols, then sure, then four of you have guns next round, but then one person won't, and then maybe you won't win the next round, right? So you need to kind of buy in unison. So I think Valorant makes it more like team friendly and beginner friendly. Because if you have like I've played so many CS games with like my friends, but they're like they don't know the CS:GO like economy system, so they just buy an AK every round, and it fucks with all of us, right?
Yeah.
So same thing with like probably your experience. I mean, Valorant you can sell weapons, so I love that a lot more. Like it just makes it so much more beginner friendly. I think that's one of the biggest aspects of the beginner friendliness of it.
That's good. I mean, like of course, like there are like a lot of aspects that like in Valorant they clearly prioritize like the skill and like the performance, right? Like I mean, we've talked about like how the graphics are, they're optimized for. We don't care how ugly it is; it's for performance, right? Like
yeah. There's another also like the game is another thing about that is like the game is very easy to run, largely due to the graphics. I mean, one, you can see the players easily, but two, you can play it on a very very bad PC. Like similar to like CS:GO doesn't have a very high, like you don't need a very good computer for that. But like Warzone or like BRs, you need a relatively good PC to play them effectively. But this game is kind of targeting a larger audience, and I think that's a lot of the reason it also has a lot of popularity because it's like easier to run than like Overwatch. For example.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense, and like they honestly,
which also say wasn't that hard to run.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say
Overwatch, as far as games go, was not difficult to run, but I see the comparison.
Yeah.
It was like I mean now on my computer now it wasn't, but I used to play Overwatch on like a fucking all-in-one PC, and it was fucking like brutal. Like I would get like 30 FPS and I could not play. Like I felt so behind, not because I was shit at aiming, but just because like I couldn't like see what was going on because it was in like 30 frames. Like,
yeah, no, like Overwatch is definitely like generally optimized compared to most shooters. But I totally get what you're saying, Andris, is that like Valorant is designed to be that like all accessible shooter. You know what I mean?
Like Overwatch still has a barrier to entry for some computers. Like it's not like every computer can run it, right? Valorant is like I think way more optimized than Overwatch personally. Just looking at like the required specs for it and stuff, but
it's understandable. Yeah, but honestly, overall, Valorant is sounding pretty interesting to me, and it's definitely on my radar now, at least. Like I'm probably gonna like definitely look some more into it. I'm hoping when it comes out, it's not like crazy expensive. Like if it's around that CS:GO price point,
No,
I
it's
don't.
gonna be free.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole part of it. Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Riot,
free. Yeah.
Riot games are always free. They're all free.
Oh, but they have
Yeah.
like buyable heroes or something.
Yeah.
Like okay.
No, not heroes. Heroes are you just unlock them through playing.
Okay.
But the only thing you buy with real money is cosmetics.
Oh okay. Interesting. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
in
even in League.
Yeah, in League, their whole market is people spending money to buy skins.
Oh.
They have no gameplay effect, just like Overwatch, no gameplay effect.
Okay, very cool. Honestly,
Um,
that's yeah. So if it's free to pick up, then I'm definitely even more
Yeah,
interested.
there's there's no reason not to. I think like maybe you can't sink time into it, but at least give it a try.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, what do you guys think, Nico, Jay? Are you guys maybe interested in giving it a download, giving it some free rounds?
Yes.
Possibly. Sure.
For sure. All right. Well,
It's free.
it is free indeed. Honestly.
Yeah, may as well.
Yeah, you're lying
I
if you never
recommend
downloaded Fortnite. You're lying if you never did.
I have
Once, I
indeed
think?
done.
You know.
Hated it. Did not play it more than like 10 games. But
Fortnite's not that terrible.
Dude, Fortnite's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's definitely like
it's not
Fun.
terrible, but it's
Now
like
and then.
most
I know.
games are more fun than it. Is the idea. But thank you so much, Andris, for coming on today. This probably would have been a train wreck without you. How actually knowing what you were talking about. But
Thanks for having me.
yeah, absolutely. But everybody at the audience at home, thank you all for watching another episode of the JSN Podcast. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications or whatever that is. We do have a community Discord that you're welcome to join. The link will be in the description, and you can come on and hang out with us casters or suggest topics of your own.
No,
Yeah.
for real.
But overall, again, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.